All right, Shalom. This is the ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. Since 1969, been teaching the truth according to the Bible that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the true and biblical Israelites. The same Israelites that you read about in the Bible, man. The same people that heard the voice of God and lived. The same people that God parted the Red Sea for. Ashlam, Yahweh, Shem, Yahweh, Shai, Barakatah. Oh, on the Facebook, that last.
That's on Facebook right now.
It's not on Facebook. No.
It's going to go down Facebook.
No, it's not. It lost the connection on Facebook. All right. Yeah. So with that being said, for those of you that are new to class, we do have a school in England. The address is 394 Lodge Road, postcode B18 5PW. The school is in the city of Birmingham, and from this school we have classes 4 times a week. So Monday, 7 till 9, you have the history class done by Officer of 5,000 Karafia. Wednesday at the same time, you have the law class done by Officer of 5,000 Dungabar. Then today, you have the scripture breakdown class done by myself, Captain of 10,000 Parashia. Then on Saturday, we have the Sir Abath class at 10 a.m. All right. Then also there's classes online that are not in the class. On a Tuesday, you have the Brotherhood class done by Officer of 500 Zapawan or Officer of 5,000 Ra'alban out of Manchester, man. Then on Friday, out of London, you got Officer of 5,000 Shemgar doing the language class. You know what I mean? And also check us out on YouTube and Facebook, ISUPK United Kingdom. You know what I mean? We got some videos out there, man. Captain Mashat was here. Let's give him a hand, man.
Right.
I mean, blaze on the Birmingham High Street, man. You know what I mean? Show those heathens what it was all about, man. You know what I mean? So we got those videos online and also other previous videos that we have too, man. So in today's scripture breakdown class, you know, we just had the day of atonement. So we're going to go into what the atonement means and, you know, like basically how we atone now and, you know, what Christ done for us. All right. So we're going to get into that. So, of course, everyone knows in Leviticus 23 is where you find the day of atonement. But now let's get into how you fast. Let's get Isaiah 58:1.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 50 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and shew my people their transgressions.
All right, so this is Isaiah here, and the Lord told Isaiah to cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice as a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions. So already, the Lord's put Isaiah on a mission, man, to show us the transgressions we was doing. What is a transgression? It means a violation, man.
Right.
And we violated God's laws. And the Lord sent Isaiah to show us our violations, to show us what wrongs we were doing against the Lord. And he told him to spare not, meaning, you know what I mean? Just because someone's nice, don't feel like, oh, you know what? I can't really tell them. He's saying, listen, you tell it as it is, man. So now let's find out one transgression that we was doing at this time. Reader.
And the house of Jacob, their sins.
There you go. So it's basically transgression, sins, you know, one and the same. Shalom Zapon. Yahweh Hashem Hashab Barakatah. Good to see you in, man.
Shalom Adawan, Yahweh Hashem Barakatah.
All right then. It'll sweat. Let's read on verse 2.
Verse 2. Yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways. As a nation that did righteousness and forsook not the ordinance of their God.
So what is Isaiah saying? Meaning, us as a people, although we're in sin, although we transgress against the Lord, we are a people that seek the Lord daily, man. Hence why we're in the church. Hence why we're in the mosque. Hence why we talk about Pan-Africanism. Why? Because we are a people, in our sin, in our ignorance, we seek God daily, man.
Right.
We know God's real. We know God exists, man. Even though despite all the oppression, the pillaging, the raping, the robbery, and the murder we've been through, we still believe in a God, man. When really black people should be atheists, man. You mean we've been calling to God for over 400 years and got no help, man. We should be the atheists of the earth, but still believe in a God. Why? Because we are the people of God, man.
That's right.
Despite what we go through, despite our history, we're like, God's real, man. And guess what? God's for me, even though we've been through all of it. And how do you know? With the so-called Israeli, you can look this up. In the land of Israel right now, majority of the Israelis, they are atheists. They believe in all this new age movements. And when you ask them why, they say because of the Holocaust. Meaning they went through one Holocaust, and because of what happened to them, they stopped believing in God, man. Now, of course, not all of them. You are going to still find some that, believe they're the real Jews and whatnot. But a lot of them, they're actually atheists. You can look it up. They don't believe in the Torah and, things like that. They are atheists. Or they believe in this new age movement that they are God, and they believe in many different things except believing in God. And when asked why, it's because of the Jewish Holocaust. Right. And they believe, well, if God made that happen to me, then there isn't any God. Meanwhile, black people have been enslaved for 400 years, being killed by the millions, lynched by the millions, and still believe in a God, man. Why?
Right.
Because that shows we are the chosen people of God.
That's right.
Reader.
They ask of me, they ask of me the ordinances of justice. They take delight in approaching to God.
And listen, man, that is us, man. We are people. We take delight in approaching to God, man. We want to know. You know what I mean? We want to know, but what? Religion has blinded our eyes, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? We want to know, even at camp, so many of us to ask, so what's this about, man? Are we the real Jews? Where can I find some information about this? We are a people. We take delight in approaching to God. Read on.
Another one, Khan. Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not?
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge?
So now, with Isaiah being around, remember, Isaiah's here to show them their sins. So remember, they take delight in approaching to God. So they asked Isaiah, we fasted, and the Lord took no knowledge. We afflicted our soul, and the Lord just didn't accept our fast. Now remember, they delight in approaching to God. So blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, we want to know why we had this fast and nothing happened. Why did the Lord reject our fast? Reader.
Behold, in the day of your fast, you find pleasure and exact all your labors.
And listen, man, this is a man of God speaking. This is Isaiah speaking right here. And Isaiah's giving them the answer. The reason why the Lord didn't respect your fast is because you find a pleasure, meaning you do the things that you want to do. When you fast, you're meant to do the thing that you don't want to do. But what? They did the things they wanted to do, and it's going to explain. And exact all your labors. That word exact, you can look it up. It means to oppress. And the part labors, you can look it up too. It really means your laborers, meaning you oppress your workers, man. Right. Your pleasure is what? Worker man and not pay him anything. and you want to fast. So I go down. You want to fast. Meanwhile, you are oppressing a brother, man. You're doing someone wrong. I remember this on the Day of Atonement. When you fast, make sure you're living right, man. Don't just fast because it's a Day of Atonement, which yes, you should, but live right, man. And that's what Isaiah was letting us know back then. Now listen, you want the Lord to see your fast, but stop oppressing people, man. Stop oppressing your workers. If you're saying you afflicted your soul and the Lord seeth not, how about you let your workers go, man? How about on their days off, let them have their day off? Reader.
Going to the one con. Behold, ye fast for strife and debate.
And that's another reason. The reason why the Lord didn't see their fast is because really they was fasting for strife and debate, man. They was having a fast so that they could argue with someone. You fasted one day, I fasted for 2. Well, I did it for 3. Listen, man, I fasted all week. You didn't fast like me. You know what I mean? I know you had a drink. No, I didn't. And the Lord's saying, well, why would I respect this fast if you're not fasting for what it's really meant for, man? You're fasting for strife and debate. Your fast is so that you can argue with someone. You can rub it in someone's face. You know what I mean? You don't fast like me. Me, you know what I mean? Listen, man, I throw all the food outside the house, man. Listen, man, I'm so strong-willed. Listen, I fast with the food in front of my face, man. Well, you know what I mean? You don't fast like me. And then what? You know what I mean? You're using your fast as a weapon, man. And then you want the Lord to see this fast. It's not going to happen, man. Reader.
Going to the one con. And to smite with the fist of wickedness.
Oh, there you go, man. Remember, you fast for strife and debate, then you smite with the fist of wickedness. What does smite mean? Hit meaning you punch someone in the face, man. Meaning what? The fast you take, you even get into fights, or you get into fights over your fasting, man. Imagine that. When you're fasting, you're meant to be tired and exhausted, but you got time to punch somebody, man. You got time to attack someone. Listen, I fasted 2 days, 3 days. No. And you push it and you shove in then. And then you hit the guy, man. What kind of fast is that?
That's right.
And the Lord's saying the reason why he doesn't hear you is because look at what you're doing, man. You're doing all this and I'm meant to respect this fast. You afflict your soul and I'm meant to see this. When look at what you're doing. Reader.
Come to one con. Ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high.
And there you go. And the Lord's breaking it down, saying, listen, you don't fast like this no more, man. If you want to be heard on high, man. Meaning, if you want to be heard by the Lord, all that fasting for strife, fasting for debate, you can't do it no more this day, man. You can't be attacking each other over your arguments, over your fasting. Listen, man, if you want your fast to be heard, this has got to stop, man. This must stop if you want your fast to be heard, man. Reader.
Is it such a fast that I have chosen?
So now if you notice, it's got a question mark there, man. Is this the fast that I have chosen? Meaning he's asking a question, but he's not really asking a question. Meaning that kind of fast, the Lord ain't chose that fast. Nowhere in the Bible does the Lord say, and thou shalt fast and strife and debate, and thou shalt smite with the fist of wickedness. You don't find that nowhere in the Bible, man. Showing you what? That's your fast, man. That's what you want to do. You use fasting as a weapon, man. You use your fast as like something to rub in someone's face, man. And the Lord's saying, I don't choose that fast. Reader.
A day for a man to afflict his soul. Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush?
And there you go, man. Here comes the acting. Is it a day to bow down your head as a bulrush, meaning what? Your head's down, man. like a bull, didn't for it runs at someone. You're fasting with your head down. Which shows you what? The Lord is not an actor, man. You're an actor. You gotta let everyone know, I'm fasting, man. I'm drained, man. I fasted for 3 days, I'm seeing visions. You know what I mean? And you got your head down. The Lord saying that's not the fast I said you can do. You know what I mean? In the New Testament, we're going to get there, of course, being a scripture breakdown class. Christ said what? You anoint your head, man. Meaning when you fast, no one's meant to know. You don't hang your head down like a bulrush, like, I'm tired, man. I ain't drinking, I'm thirsty, man. You're walking with your hand on the wall, just plodding along like a zombie out of Resident Evil. You know what I mean? You don't fast like that, man. You're not on the wall just, you know what I mean? Like you're exhausted. That's not the fast that the Lord has chosen, man. And that's why at this time, no one's fasts got heard because it wasn't sincere. And when we do the Day of Atonement, let that sink in. Be sincere, man.
Right.
Yes, the Day of Atonement is a fast day, but live it, man. And we're going to get into that, how the sacrifices, because with the Day of Atonement came a sacrifice. I mean, in your own time, it's a lot to read. But in Leviticus 16, there was a bull or a ram, one of the two, for the Day of Atonement. Meaning there was one that the priest put his hands on and his sins went into that bull. Then there was another one that was for the bull of everyone, and all those sins went into that. And then a worker of the priest, he would walk with it miles away into a far place and just let a bull go every year for our sins. And what happened? We wasn't sincere, man. And then the Lord stopped accepting sacrifices. So we'll get into that part 2 as well. Read on in Isaiah.
Okay. And to spread sackcloth and ashes under him. Wilt thou call this a fast and an acceptable day to the Lord?
And there you go, man. All that goes into acting, man. You got the sackcloth on you. You got the ashes. Listen, no one died, man. It's a fast. It's a fast. In the Bible, when people died, they put sackcloth and ashes. You chose to fast, and you got sackcloth on. You put ashes on yourself. Why? Because that is acting, man. And the Lord's saying, listen, I don't choose that fast.
Word.
You know what I mean? You're trying to appear unto man, I'm righteous and I'm fasting, when that's not a fast that the Lord has chosen, man. Reader.
Is not this the fast that I have chosen, to loose the bands of wickedness?
And there you go, man. This is the fast that is chosen by the Lord to loose the bands of wickedness. Does anyone know what that means? To loose the bands of wickedness.
Bands is what, like handcuffs? So
Yep.
the whole fast is stuck from sinning, basically, like being bound. So some brothers can't stop doing what they're doing, and the fast is supposed to do the opposite, not to oppress people.
That's right. And what opposite is heavy, meaning it loosed the bands of wickedness. Meaning what? In your mind, there's a band that's maybe getting you high. You know what I mean? Any kind of sin, and your fast is meant to loose that band of wickedness. Meaning what? Because you ain't had nothing to eat and nothing to a drink, your mind is focused on eating and drinking. That what? You loose that band of wickedness, man. Your desire ain't on that sin, but your desire is, when's this fast over, man? I'm hungry. That's what a fast is meant to do. It's meant to loose the bands of wickedness, man. But instead, we was fasting and being wicked. And that's why the Lord did not see our fast. Reader.
To undo the heavy burdens.
And there you go, man. So I brought it part down. So remember, loose the bands of wickedness, undo the heavy burdens, man. Meaning what? Some people are bound in sin, man. It's a burden. Every day they're trying to fight this lust, that lust. And your fast is meant to undo the heavy burdens, man. You mean you got weed on your mind all week, and you're fighting. That's a heavy burden, man. And your fast is meant to undo that heavy burden, meaning, you know what I mean? It's not meant to even be a burden when you have that fast. That's the fast that is chosen by the Lord, man. Read on.
Another one, Khan. And to let the oppressed go free.
And to let the oppressed go free. Remember, they was exacting their labors. Here it's saying, let the oppressed go free, man. Meaning, on your fast, just let people go, man. You mean you're fasting, but you're oppressing people? You're finding your pleasures, man. You know what I mean? I believe this is it on that. All right, so that's it in the book of Isaiah. Let's get Matthew 6:1. Where was I get it from in Matthew 6:1?
Let's go another one. Matthew chapter 6, verse 1. Take heed that ye do not Take heed that ye do not your alms before men to be seen of them.
All right. So now let's break it down, man. So now in Matthew 6, stop for a second. Yeah, sorry. So it's saying, take heed that you do not your alms before men to be seen of them. So, like in Isaiah, it's saying what? You don't do things to be seen of men. You don't fast because, you know what I mean, you want to argue with someone, you want to be seen, you know what I mean? So now with Christ, like in the book of Isaiah, it's saying the exact same thing. All right. So basically, Christ is breaking down what Isaiah said. It's saying that, listen, man, like, don't do things to be seen of man. We showed you what with Christ, he had the way, man. And also, what's heavy is this. In the New Testament, what the scribes and the Pharisees did, you're reading about it in Isaiah. Remember, in the book of Isaiah, the Lord's telling us not to be seen of men, not to be hypocrites. With the Pharisees, they were the exact same way, meaning what? We had a culture of what? Being seen of man. To be seen, to be, you know what I mean? Like, listen, I'm this righteous person. And the same way Isaiah told us back then, Christ had to tell us in his time, meaning what? It's just the way how we was, man. We was a nation of people that we didn't do things because it was the right thing to do. We did it. Why? Because everyone would see you, man. So now with Christ saying, listen, man, when you do your alms, don't do it of men to be seen. So what is an alm? An alm's like a good deed. So, you know, someone's down on the rent. I pay their rent. Christ said, listen, don't do it just to be seen of man. If you do it because it was the right thing to do, man. Do it because you had it. And, you know, the person was in need. Do it because it was the right thing to do. You know what I mean? And 1 second. Yeah, and Yeah. So now, read on.
Kan another one, kan. Otherwise, ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven.
There you go. So if you do things to be seen of man, guess what? You get no reward from the Lord, man. If you fast to be seen of men, listen, man, you don't get nothing of the Lord, man. Why? Because you got your reward. Men seen you. I mean, men know you're ultra righteous, man. Men know, you mean you're this faster that you're trying to get next to God, man. You get your reward, but guess what? You get no reward from the Lord, man. Read on.
Answer. Verse 2. Therefore, when thou dost thine arms, do not sound a trumpet before thee.
There you go. So now, what's the point of this meaning? Therefore, when you give your alms, don't sound the trumpet before thee. Meaning, don't alert everyone that I'm giving alms. Everyone, I'm paying a rent. Look, 100, 200, 300. Take this 400. Your rent's paid, now, isn't it? I paid your rent, didn't I? Isn't it? Basically, listen, don't do that, man. Don't sound the trumpet. Everyone doesn't have to know what good thing you did, man. You did it because it's the right thing to do, and you don't care who knows, man. Right. You mean now? I'm not trying to go against it, but listen, in the UPK, we do what we do because it's the right thing to do, man.
Right. That's
let me tell you something. I would do a class if no one was here. I don't do it because people are here and I want to show I can break this down. Listen, I would do it if there was no camera. It wouldn't make a difference to me. You know what I mean? Why? Because it's the right thing to do. Commanding Jimmy had to listen. In the UK, there must be a class. I would do the class anyway. It wouldn't bother me if one person was here. Why? I'm told to do a class. I would do the class anyway. I mean, the class isn't here to show what I know and this man. I'm gonna take you to Matthew 6 and nah. I would be doing this anyway. It wouldn't make it wouldn't make a difference regardless of what anyone says, man. Read on.
Got another one. As the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets.
There you go. Just like in the book of Isaiah, they were fasting to be seen, and it was going on even at this time. People was fasting to be seen, man. People was giving alms here to be seen. The whole point was, he's such a nice man. He paid that person's rent. He gave that person, some new garments. It gave him some, fur, man. And Christ saying, listen, don't do that. Don't be like them. But they do all this to be seen. Listen, they don't care about you. Yes, they've helped you, but the agenda was not to help you. The agenda was to be seen of men for them, which is the point. Read on.
Answer. That they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward.
And there you go. They have their reward. What is their reward? They were seen of men, man. Men reward him. He's a good brother, man. He paid his rent for him, man. He gave the arms for everyone, showed him much of a nice, caring man he is, man. Listen, that is your reward, but you get no reward from the Father in heaven, though.
right.
Read it.
Answer. That thine arms but when thou dost alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth.
Meaning, what's the analogy? Meaning, you don't let no one know. Meaning, when you give alms, you don't even let your right hand and your left hand know. Now, of course, if you hand the money over, your right hand knows or your left hand knows. The point being is, no one has to know, man. You can do something marvelous, and guess what? No one has to know. You could pay someone's rent, and no one has to know, man. You could have dropped some knowledge that changed someone's life. No one has to know, man. You don't have to be seen of, man. Your agenda ain't, listen, you know what I mean? I did this, and everyone's seen it. You can do it, and guess what? No one knows. But guess what? The Father knows, man. Read on.
Right.
Answer.
That's right.
Verse 4. That thine alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly.
And listen, when the Most High saw what you did, He's gonna reward you openly. So, can anyone break that down? How does the Most High reward you openly?
Slack yourself, I mean.
Go ahead.
He let it be known so that everybody can see.
Give him a hand. I'll take that, and I'll explain. So, meaning, the Lord saw what you did, and guess what? Everyone sees it, man. When the Lord's blessing you, everyone sees that person's blessed of the Lord, man. Right. You get rewarded by the Lord openly. Everyone sees it like, nah, listen, the Lord is with him. Why? Because what you did, you didn't do it to be seen of men. You did it. The Father saw it, and what? Now you get a reward from the Father, man. It's different. You do it for men. You get your reward from men. You do it in the name of the Lord. You get a reward from the Lord, man.
Right.
Reader.
Answer. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men.
And there you go now. So now Christ brought down the alms, the hypocrisy of the alms. Now, what's the next thing, man? If you're black or Hispanic, you know all about this, man. The hypocrisy of a praying, man. Them long prayers that last half an hour. And the Lord in Jesus, deep breath, and help the children, and do this, and do that. And you just clock watching, man, like, yo, my legs are tired, man. Right. I mean, in the world, of course, I've been to church, and that pastor gives some long prayer, man. You look at the clock, like, it's 12 o'clock. You look again, it is 12:30. Like, what? Like, you can't done yet. Like, what more do you have to say? Like, you're all praying, yes, Jesus, and in the name of the Lord, and help them by the way they're lost. And there's a woman in the 90s. Yes, pastor, help him. Yes. And you're like, 12, man. And they're praying some more. And then even you think he's done, it says some more. Like, it will say something, stop. You'll be like, he's going to say amen. And yes, Jesus, do this and that. You're like, what? Like, yo, it can't finish yet. And listen, man, that's the church, man. Even that gap. Yes, Lord. a PS Lord. You know what I mean? It goes on and on. In that gap, you're expecting amen. You're like, amen. You don't hear amen. You're like, all right. And bless those in the church. Bless Mr. Deacon Moore and Sister Shanika. And this, like, it can't done, man. And all their families and the children to come. All right, that's enough. And the children after them, like, nah, man. come on, man. What are we dealing with here, man? And that's the church, man. And they do it to be seen of men. These long prayers got everyone standing, man. You know what I mean? Your back's hurting. You can't wait for that chair, like if I could sit down, man. And really, all that is to be seen of men. You do not need to pray that long, man. You know what I mean? All that, again, it's man-pleasing. And the same way you see in the black church and in the mosque, it says, you know what I mean? They pray in the corners of the streets. That's Islam right there, man. Let me tell you something. I'm a lorry driver. You know what I mean? Just in case you don't know. And one time, I was working on the night. Listen, I thought it was a horror movie, and I'll explain why. So there's a lorry, and there's a man just waving his hands and on his knees and going up and down like, rah. So I'm driving. I lock that door. Door just. I'm like, rah. You know what I mean? Is man mad? The man at the prayer rug on the road is a lorry driver. So on the night, it must have been time for him to pray, and he's praying at 1 o'clock in the morning, man. I'm like, what's wrong with him? Listen, he had the rug outside the lorry doing the prayer there, man. I thought he was mad. Listen, I locked that door, man, and I made sure the window was up. Like, yo, this guy ain't opening this door, man. And he's praying. And now, listen, you do not have to pray by the roadside, man. You are doing it to be seen by men that you're righteous. You know what I mean? Listen, in England, there's freedom of religion. no one can stop you. You can't pray in the lorry. You can't pray inside the lorry.
Right.
You know what I mean? In the lorry, there's bed, man. There is a bed in the lorry. You couldn't go in the bed and pray. There's night heaters, meaning it can be nice and warm in the lorry. You know what I mean? You can make it as nice and warm as you want, but you choose to put the rug outside and pray outside, man. Why? Because you want to be seen of men, and that's what it's all about, man. And Christ is teaching us not to be hypocrites, not to be actors. Reader.
Another one. Come. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut the door, pray to the Father which is in secret.
Now, does it literally mean go into your a closet? Or, is it? All right, so what does that mean?
Yeah, so like the other one, that just means find a secret place, you know what I mean? A nice quiet place, and then be present.
I'll take that. Let's give that a hand, man. That's the point is, meaning what? You're not seen of men, man. You're praying. Why? Because it's personal, man. You want the Lord to help you. You want the Lord to be with you. Your prayer is not to be seen of men like the scribes and the Pharisees. Reader.
Answer. And thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly.
And then listen, man, you pray, just you and the Most High, you get a reward openly from the Father, man. Meaning what? If you want the Lord to be with you, just like in Isaiah, and just like what we're reading in Matthew right now, you can't be an actor. The Lord can be with you, absolutely. But if you're acting, the Lord isn't with you, man. Which lets you know the Lord isn't with those in the church, man. The Lord isn't with them. The Lord isn't with them in the mosque. Why? Because they're actors. All what they do is to be seen of men. They do not believe in any of it, man. They don't believe that, God's with them unless they please men. You know what I mean? And that's what you're going to realize, man. They are hypocrites. Reader.
But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions, as the heathen do.
All right. So now let's break it down, man. What is vain repetitions? Meaning you repeat it. Repetition, the root word is repeat. Basically, that's the easy way of breaking it down. Meaning what? Don't use vain repeats, man. You're saying the same prayer over again. It's like in the Catholic Church, you know what I mean? Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail. You know what I mean? In the a Buddhist religion, Vamitavo, you know what I mean? They say it again, Vamitavo, Mitavo. You know what I mean? Of course, we don't believe in that. But the point being is they believe they're gonna be heard because they keep saying the same thing over and over. And listen, man, it doesn't work like that. We have a living God that can hear you once, man.
Right.
You mean they serve idols? That's why they believe they're gonna say it again and again and again and again and again. Why? Because those gods ain't real, man. We have a God that can listen to what you're saying, man. Reader.
For they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. And
there you go, man. Like what I said, they think they shall be heard for their much speaking. In their mind, what if I say it 100 times, God's going to hear me? And you're wrong, man. And you're wrong. God's not going to hear you because you kept saying it, man. It's actually the opposite. You know what I mean? What you think is going to work is actually the opposite, which shows you that as a people, we've come so far from God that what we think will work is not going to work. There's black Catholics out there, man. Say 10 Hail Marys. Eternia, she was a Buddhist, Nam no ren no kyo. You know what I mean? Listen, she said that many times, and what she doesn't understand is because you keep saying that That's the reason why God is not going to hear you, man. You're actually doing the opposite of what you think is right, man. Read on.
Answer. Be not ye thereof like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of, which things you have need of, before ye ask him.
And there you go. I mean, really, when you pray, you're just approving to the Most High that you know you need to go to Him, but really, the Most High knows anyway. So yes, you're asking, but guess what? The Most High knew anyway. But a prayer shows faith. It shows that listen, I need to ask God the Father. I cannot handle this. Your prayer shows faith, but really, the Father knows what you need anyway.
That's right.
That's the point. So you don't need to repeat words. Pray for half an hour. Those things are irrelevant because really, the Most High knows what you need anyway. But you doing the act of a prayer just shows your faith. Reader.
Answer. Verse 9. After this manner thereof pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Okay.
Thy kingdom.
So as you know, that's the Lord's prayer. But for time's sake, we'll skip to verse 16.
Answer. Verse 16. Moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites of sad countenance.
All right,
they just
no sweat. So it's breaking down, man, like in the book of Isaiah. What did it say? If anyone remembers.
It says they fast for strife, and they fast for it's like what was the last thing you just read in Matthew?
So in Matthew it says, moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites of sad countenance. Now in Isaiah, it said that in another way. If anyone,
yes, like if I could, it's saying they bow their head as the bulrush and they put on the sackcloth and spread the ashes under their feet.
Give that a hand, man. Meaning what? Isaiah is saying the same thing, man. The Bible is always saying the same thing, meaning the same way people was in Isaiah, they were the same way in Matthew, man. Just hypocrites and actors and, just doing things to be seen of men. Now, of course, Christ is talking about here your face, man. Meaning they make a sad countenance. I mean, they got a sad face. I'm drained, man. I got no fluids in me, man. I'm fasting and, you know what I mean? And I don't know if I can do this, man. You know what I mean? They got this sad countenance. And Christ saying, listen, don't be like them. Don't be those hypocrites, man. Read on.
Answer. For they disfigure their faces, that they may appear unto men to fast.
And there you go. The whole point is that they appear unto men to fast, meaning all what they're doing is so you can know they're fasting, man. And let me tell you something. I don't care where you are in the earth. We've all heard about Ramadan, man. And listen, that is what the Bible's talking about. Of course, the Bible ain't talking about them, but that's what the Bible's talking about. Meaning what? You do things to appear unto men to fast, meaning your whole agenda is to let me know you're fasting. Your whole goal is, I want to let him know I'm having a fast, man. You come into work walking slow from the a car park, so you shut the door of the car, you stagger into the left, stagger into the right, walking forward.
Swing the door so soft, the door of the laptop.
You know what I mean? You swing the door so soft, like pushing the door. You know what I mean? And you can't even shut the door. You got the key hanging at your hand, like you know what I mean? You do all that. Why? Because you are trying to appear to me that you're fasting. You're letting me know by your body language that, listen, I'm having a fast. You got this sad face, you're in your chair, drained. Like, gosh, man, I don't know if I can do it, man. I don't know. I mean, those things are to be seen of, man. Everything you do is to let me know that you're fasting. Reader.
Answer. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward.
There you go. They have their reward. Everyone knows you're fasting. Everyone knows you're a holy man. Everyone knows you're righteous. Read on.
Answer. But thou, when thou fastest, anoint thine head and wash thy face.
But now Christ saying, but when you fast, meaning the disciples, and of course us, when we fast, anoint thy head, meaning what? Oil your face, man. Oil that hair. Just because you're fasting, don't have some a dry afro, man. You know what I mean? Don't let the hair reflect the fast, man. Meaning, you mean look normal, man. Wash your face, get the matter at your eyes. You know what I mean? Get the white corners gone by the side of your mouth, man. Meaning, don't look like you're fasting. Just look normal. Don't be an actor. You're fasting why? So that the Lord can see it, man. So that your fast can be seen on high, like it said in the book of Isaiah. Read on.
Answer. Verse 18. That thou appear not unto men to fast, but unto thy Father which is in secret. And
There
thy
you go.
Father,
Ain't no sweat. So it's letting you know that, listen, when we fast, our fast ain't for men to see. Our fast ain't for this reward that men will give us. But guess what? We get a reward from the Father, man. Reader.
Answer. And thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly.
And there, man, you fast for the Lord, you get that reward from the Lord, man. Which is the point. You know what I mean? So we broke down how to fast. Now we're going to get into the sacrifice part. All right, let's get with Christ, he suffered once for sins. All right, it's 1 Peter 3:18.
Book of 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 18. For Christ also had once suffered for sins.
So now let's keep it in mind. Christ suffered once, meaning what? Christ ain't gonna die again, man. Meaning for the day of atonement, Christ is your atonement. You're not gonna, like, in the past, they was forgiven for their sins every year. It's not the case anymore now, man. Christ suffered once for sin. So yes, we keep the day of atonement, but you don't get forgiven for the sins that you do every year. Why? Because Christ died once for sin, man. Meaning what? Once you become born again, that's it, man. There's no yearly, you know what I mean? I'm gonna get it right next year. You get it right now, man. That's the point. You mean once you're born again, you can't do the thing that the old man used to do. And Christ suffered once for sin, man. Christ is that atonement once, not every time. In the Old Testament, there was an animal every year that everyone's sins went into, that the priest would put his hands upon. Christ only died once, man. So, you know, because there's some people in faith Israelite groups, they believe that the Day of Atonement means to get a chance to start fresh every year. You don't, man. Once you come in here, that is it, man. Christ atoned for your sins. You now keep the law. That's it now. Read that one more time.
For Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust.
Meaning what? Christ was just, and he died for the unjust. And who are the unjust? We are, man.
Right.
Meaning a just man died for the unjust. Read on.
That he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit.
There's what? Christ died that what? He may bring us unto God, man. Meaning Christ atoned for our sins that what? we can be brought unto God. And he only did it once, man. So let's get Hebrews 10 and 26.
Book of Hebrews chapter 10 verse 26. For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins.
So can anyone break this down? What does this mean?
Come on, can't slack if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
So now, once you receive the truth, once you know the laws, there's no sacrifice for that. That's not what Christ died for. He didn't die for you to, sin willfully, knowing the truth. He died for those that sin ignorantly, not knowing the truth. But now that you know, there's no sacrifice for that. So you can't sin willfully.
Give that a hand. That was on point. And why you said it was heavy, and I'll show you why. In the law, the sacrifices really they were for ignorance. Even in the book of Numbers, I'll get it for you. Go. If you sinned presumptuously, you was put to death. Meaning, even back then, you couldn't just sin and go, listen, I'll just sacrifice this. The whole point of sacrifice really was for ignorant sin, meaning sins that you was unaware of, and it come to your attention that you did it. It wasn't a thing like, look, I'm a sin and just offer this. That was not the point. And like in Hebrews, that's how you know the writer knew the Old Testament. Because if you sin willfully, meaning you know it's wrong, but you did it anyway, man.
Right.
You know, the law says I can't do that, but I want to do it. There's no sacrifice for that, man. There's nothing you can do to atone for that. Why? Because you did it willfully.
Right.
Read the next verse.
But a certain faithful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversaries.
Okay, so remember, there's no more sacrifice for sins. So for the sin you did, there's nothing you can give to appease the Most High. So now you got to pay. That's why it's saying, but a certain fearful looking for a judgment. Who is that? You, man.
Right.
You're looking for that judgment like, shit, I'm going to die. What's going to happen? Because that person knows what they did, it was wrong. And they're afraid. They're looking like, right, like, is it now? Is the Lord going to get me for this now? And you feel for and you're looking like, shit, why did I do that, man? I know the Lord's going to get me. Remember why? Because there's no animal you can give for that sin that you did, man.
Right.
And it says fiery indignation, meaning what? That's the anger of the Lord, man. You know the Lord's coming for you, which shall devour the adversaries. And when you sin against the Lord, you become an enemy, man. You become an adversary, basically meaning what? The Lord's coming for you, man. Reader.
Right. He that despised Moses' law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses.
There you go. So if you done a sin that was punishable by death, you know what I mean? In what the world calls the Old Testament, you died without a mercy by 2 or 3 witnesses, meaning at least 2 witnesses had to see what you did. And you died without mercy, meaning no one felt sorry for you. Now let's see what happens under Christ. Reader.
Of how much sorer punishment, suppose ye, shall he be thought worthy who hath trodden underfoot the Son of God?
So meaning saying, listen, even at the time of Moses, people died rough, man. How much more sore is the punishment going to be under Christ, man? I mean, you acknowledge that this righteous man died for you, and you did that. How much more do you deserve, man? Reader.
And hath counted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified, an unholy thing.
So now let's break that down, man. With Christ, his blood was shed for you. That's a holy thing, man. If you know what he did, if you know he died for you and you sin, you're treating his blood as an unholy thing, man.
Right.
You're treating like as if with the blood of Christ, it was some unclean thing. Like him dying for you was something terrible, man. Something horrible. And you do that by your actions. You treat his blood as an unholy thing if you sin willfully. Read on.
And have counted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified in an unholy thing, and have done despite unto the spirit of grace.
Meaning, you know you got grace and you abuse it, man.
Right.
You know there's time for you to get right, and you abuse grace, man. You use grace like in Galatians for an occasion to the flesh, man. You know what I mean? You use that blood really. If you know Christ died for you, you're meant to go, I got grace to be perfect. I don't have grace to sin willfully. And saying, listen, man, you abuse grace. You know that because someone ain't going to put you to death for those sins that you did, you abuse grace, man. You use grace in the wrong way for your advantage. Read on.
For we know him that hath said, vengeance belongeth unto me. I will recompense, saith the Lord. And again, the Lord shall judge his people.
There, and also too, that lets you know that Christ did not do away with the law.
That's right.
He's saying, vengeance belong unto me. Meaning what? You still keep the law. We just don't put people to death, man. Why? Because they're under grace. They have a time to get right. Now the Lord does it. That's what he's saying. Remember, meaning what? In the book of Deuteronomy, where you'll find it says, vengeance belong to me. Meaning what? You still have to keep the laws, but we can't put you to death if you disobey them laws. That's the point. And say, remember, vengeance belong to me. Who's the me? The Lord, man. Meaning with Paul is saying, listen, the Lord, he's going to get rid of you. Remember, under Moses, you died by the hands of men. Now it's up to the Lord, man. Vengeance belongeth to the Lord. Listen, man, you know what I mean? Back in the day, it was men that would physically put you to death. Now, listen, you're going to fall in the hands of the Lord, man. And it's saying, listen, you don't want that, man. If you are abusing grace, if you are sinning, you know what I mean, because you just feel like to, it's a dangerous thing to fall in the hands of the Lord, man. And I'll explain why. Men, they will just physically put you to death. In the Bible, it says the Lord puts your soul and body in hell, man. That hurts more, man. The Lord makes you lose your job, lose your wife, your kids hate you, your house burns down. That's worse than death. At least with death, you die. There's an end to being put to death. There's, you know what I mean? Okay, he's dead. Living a life of death, that's rough, man. It's one thing to die, done. It's one thing to live a whole life of death. Just, bad news after a tragedy, after upsetment, after this, after being sad, after being let down, after a disappointment. That's worse than death. And the Bible is saying it's a fearful thing to fall in the hands of the Lord, which is the point. Reader.
It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God.
And there you go, man. It's fearful, man. If the Lord is against you, that's fearful, man. Imagine the Lord just ain't with you. And the Lord is just tearing you down, destroying your life, bringing you down. That's fearful, man. And if you believe the Lord controls everything and the Lord's against you, that's a rough life, man.
Right.
Reader.
But call to remembrance the former days in which, after ye were illuminated, ye endured a great fight of afflictions.
So meaning, if there's someone they are sinning a will fully, it's saying, listen, man, call to mind those former days when ye were illuminated, man. Meaning,
Right.
remember those days when you first came in the truth, man. Remember
Right.
how zealous you were. You mean if you're
Mm.
fighting with something, listen, man, go back in time, man. Remember how you was, man. Remember what you used to do. But listen, don't sin, man. Don't break the laws of God. Reader.
Partly whilst ye were made a gazing stock, both by reproaches and afflictions, and partly whilst ye became companions of them that were so used.
And them, I meaning what? He's saying, remember what you've been through, man. Don't leave the truth now. Don't go back into sin. Look at what you've been through, man. You was a gazing stock. People looked at you like you're weird. You're talking about Christ, some man that died for my sins. People look to us as a gazing stock. And why are you gonna sin now, man? You've come so far, and you're with people that are used to the same thing, man. Don't leave us. Don't sin and go back in the world. Listen, man. You're with people that are going through the same things like you, man. In here, we are a family, man, and you can't leave. You mean you don't just leave your kids. Your kids don't annoy you one day and you just leave them at the a daycare. Like, listen, man, he's pissing me off. I'm sorry. I can't look after him anymore. I can't take it no more. You go and get them. Why? Because they're your family. And likewise, in the truth, we are family and we can't leave each other, man. We've been through all of it together, man. We've been the gazing stock together, man. People have thought we're weird together. Don't leave us, man. Don't let sin be the reason why you leave us, man. Because a lot of times that is the reason why, man. People that leave the truth, it's sin. Behind closed doors, there's something they're doing. Of course, we don't know about it. And that sin, it bridges a gap between us and them, man.
Right.
And then because they want to carry on in that sin, they have to leave. Listen, man, you know what I mean? If they find out I'm going to get chastised, or I don't want to stop this sin, so you know what? I've got to leave, man. And Paul saying, like, listen, man, don't let this get in between us. Reader.
For ye had compassion of me in my bonds, and took joyfully the spoiling of your goods, knowing in yourselves that ye have in heaven a better and an enduring substance.
Meaning what? Look what you all been through, man. With Paul is saying, even when I was locked up, you helped me out. Why? Because you know there's a reward in heaven, man. You ain't did all this in vain. So why leave now, man?
Right.
Why let sin roll over you when you've done so much? You know what I mean? Hack it out, man. Endure. You know what I mean? Endure to the end, man. You know what I mean? Do something, man, but don't let sin beat you, which is the point. All right, let's get Psalms 50.
It's like you said, there is a bit more in this, if I could.
Okay, ain't no sweat. Let's read it.
Okay, verse 15. Cast not away, therefore, your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward.
Most High in Christ. It says, cast not away, therefore, your confidence. Meaning what? This sin is now breaking your confidence in the truth, man. Why? Because with sin, it makes you want to go back in the world, man.
Right.
And then what happened? You lose your confidence in the truth, man. You start to lose confidence in what the Lord can do for you. You start to get worldly and, you know what I mean? I'm wearing this funny headpiece, man. You know what I mean? You feel ashamed. You're at camp trying to look as normal as you can, man. No fringes. You know what I mean? You're trying to look as worldly. Why? Because you lost your confidence, man. You let the world get the better of you. And saying, listen, man, that confidence you have is the reason why you're going to get a reward. That confidence you have in the Lord, that is the reason why you're going to get the kingdom, man. Why? Because that confidence makes you stand out. That confidence makes you talk the truth, man. That confidence makes you do the things that the Lord approves of. And if you start to sin, you lose that confidence, man. Reader.
For ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of God, ye might receive the promise.
And there, man, along with confidence, you need patience, man. Why? Because with Christ, it said, no man knoweth the time nor the hour. So you got the confidence, but mix it with some patience, man. Because I'm going to tell you another side. There's people that are confident and they leave. Why? Because they never had the patience. They was confident in the Lord, but what? Because they lacked in a patience, when things didn't go their way, they left, even though they had the confidence. So meaning what? You need both, man. There's brothers that had confidence, man, and what? One day they left. They lack patience. No one's coming to class, man. I've been teaching class by myself for a month. No one's been here. They didn't have the patience, man.
Right.
You had the confidence, but you never had the patience. And doing camp in the cold, no one's listening. You don't have the patience, man.
Right.
I'm cooking food for everyone and no one's coming. Listen, you ain't got the patience, man. You make food every week, like one day everyone's gonna be in here, and the Lord's gonna bless you, and what? Everyone's gonna be in here, man.
Right.
You teach a class like everyone's here, even though no one's here. And guess what? The Lord's gonna bless you and make everyone be in here, man.
That's right.
You go to camp in the cold, no one's listening. Believe me, a camp is gonna come where everyone's listening, man.
That's right.
That's patience. Reader.
For yet a little while, and he that shall come will come and will not tarry.
There you go, and who's that he? That he is Jesus Christ, man. Yahushua.
Right.
Meaning what? It's a little while, man. It's not long. You think it's long, but in the eyes of the Lord, it's nothing long, man. Reader.
Now the just shall live by faith, but if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him.
There you go, and with Paul's raw, man. It goes, if you draw back, I have no pleasure in you. Meaning, even when I look at you, I'm just disgusted, man. I don't see you, man. How you doing? Everything right? And like, you left the truth. You can piss off, man. I ain't got nothing to say to you. I got no pleasure in you. Like, you're just vile. Like, you just left the truth. You just back. You know what I mean? There's nothing to say, man. Bye. Yeah, Paul, how things going? Like, blank him. Like, I got no. You know what I mean? I don't want to even talk to you. You know what I mean? And that's how Paul was, man. It had no pleasure in you. You left the truth. There was nothing to talk about, man. I don't want to divert, but you know what I mean? For those of you that left the truth, unless you want to come back, don't call me, man. Don't come back. You know what I mean? One of the days we can sit down and talk. For what? You left the truth. Like, what are we going to talk about, man? One of the days, you know, if you're around, you know what I mean? We can have a drink. Why? You're not here with me. You've left me. We are in a war for the lives of blacks and Hispanics, and you left me to fight with one less man. You've left me, and all of a sudden I gotta have a drink with you in some bar. Nah, man. Nah, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? You're gonna have a drink. Meanwhile, you left me on the battlefield, man. You know what I mean? You could have been on guard at camp and you left that post, man. You don't care about me. So I text me, yeah, one of the days, you know, if you're ever in London, you know what I mean, we can catch up and have a drink. Why? Have a drink and talk about what? You left me. You mean, or the other one, you know, one of the days, you mean, if you could have a conversation, and the conversation ain't about coming back in the UPK. It's about the sin things are doing for what? You don't care about how I'm doing. You left me at camp.
Right.
I could get stabbed, but you don't care. You left me and lived your life. So why do we need to talk, man? And why? And guess what? The reason why I'm that way, because it's in the Bible, man. Paul was the same way. You left the truth. He had no pleasure in you. Just leave. Just just do what you want to do, but don't be around me, man. Reader.
Now the just shall live by. But we are not of them who draw back unto perdition.
Unto what?
Unto perdition.
Meaning, okay, why do people leave the truth? Why do people draw back?
Slack
Go ahead.
To please themselves for their own pleasure.
Yes, but not what we're reading right here.
Oh,
anyone else?
To destruct, Salakia. To be destroyed.
Saki, if say that one more time.
For their own destruction or to be destroyed.
Give that a hand. Now, okay,
Right.
When you sin, eventually, if you don't stop, you're gonna be destroyed. That's what perdition means. You know what I mean? So meaning what? They draw back to be destroyed. They're gonna keep sinning till eventually they're going to die. That's why people draw back. It's for sin, and until they get destroyed. And Paul's saying, "I'm not them. I don't draw back to die. I want to live, man. I don't draw back so that I end up dying when I'm in a place that gives life." He's saying we don't do that. Reader.
But of them that believe to the saving of the soul.
And if you believe, you save your soul. You don't destroy yourself, man. If you really believe this is the truth, you stay. Why? Because it saves your soul, man.
That's right.
While as people that leave, they leave to die. They get high knowing one day that is going to be the reason of their death, man.
Right.
To do all kind of things, knowing that is going to be their death. That is going to be the reason why they get locked up for 20 years, man. Knowing that weed is the reason why it's going to be kicking their mental health, man. They leave to get destroyed. While as those that stay, you know this is the truth. That's why you stay, to save your soul, which is the point. All right, let's get Psalms 50. All right, Psalms 50. It's okay. It might be Psalms. Yeah, Psalms 50. And we can start from verse 5.
And I've got it. Psalms chapter 50, verse 5. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice.
So now the context here is the saints. The Most High is saying, gather my saints unto me, those that have made a covenant by sacrifice. Who made a covenant with the Lord by sacrifice? The Israelites did, man.
That's right.
So that lets you know already who the saints are. So the context of what we are reading in Psalms is about the Israelites. Reader.
God. By sacrifice. Verse 6. And the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself.
So now, why is it saying this? Why? Because the Lord, he is judging us and saying, listen, man, I'm the judge. I'm going to tell you where you're wrong. It's like going to court. You can't go to court and tell the judge he's wrong. The whole point is the judge, he or she, they determine what's right or wrong. And the Lord's saying, among my saints, I'm the judge. I determine to them what's right and wrong. Reader.
Verse Verse 7. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am God, even
There you go.
thy God.
There you go. Like what I said, the Lord's saying, listen, I'm the judge and I'm testifying against you. I'm speaking against you. I'm a witness against what you're doing. To testify means what? You're a witness. And the Lord's saying, I'm a judge. And guess what? I've witnessed what you've done, man. Read on.
Okay. Verse 8. I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices or by burnt offerings, to have been continually before me.
So the Lord's saying, listen, I'm not correcting you for your sacrifices. Meaning what? We gave sacrifices and thought that we was fine with the Lord. But as much sacrifices as we gave, the Lord's testifying against us. The Lord's saying he's not happy with our conduct. He's not happy with what we're doing. Read on.
Okay, verse 9. I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he-goats out of thy folds.
So meaning what? The Lord stopped accepting sacrifices, man. Right. And this is in Psalms. Meaning what? The Lord wants more than your bull. The Lord wants more than your goats and your lambs and your calves and all animals that by law you can sacrifice. The Lord wasn't happy with how we live, man. The Lord wasn't happy with our conduct as a nation. Read on.
And on verse 10. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills.
So what's the Lord saying? Meaning, you're giving me animal sacrifices like as if the animals ain't mine.
Right.
The earth is the Lord's. By you sacrificing, you're not doing the Lord a favor. The Lord owns the earth. You're not going, Lord, look, I gave you this. It's his anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? The whole reason why you have it is because the Lord gave it to you anyway. Say like, you're not pacifying me with your sacrifices, man. Why? Because I know why. Because all the beasts of the forest are mine, man. All the cattle upon the hills, they're mine anyway. Reader.
Right. Khan, verse 11. I know all the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine.
There, so the Lord knows all. Sorry, is a fowl of bird, if I'm correct, just making sure. Yeah. So of course, in the law, if you was poor, you couldn't sacrifice like a ram or a bull. The next option was birds. And the Lord saying, listen, man, I know where all the fowls are on the mountain, all the birds on this earth, I know where they are, man. When you're even sacrificing birds, listen, I know where they are. You're not doing me no favor, man. I know where these birds are. I know where to hang out. Your sacrifice is not a favor to me. Reader.
Right. Verse 12. If I were hungry, I would not tell thee, for the world is mine, and the fullness thereof.
So the Lord's saying, if I was hungry, I couldn't tell you anyway. You couldn't feed me. All those animals and sheep that you got, that couldn't feed me anyway. So if you think you're doing me a favor by sacrificing, listen, you're not. You know what I mean? All the earth is mine and the fullness thereof. What does that part mean? The fullness thereof.
Salakia.
Go ahead.
Salakia, meaning everything in the earth belongs to the Most High.
Give that hand.
Fullness.
That's right. Yeah. So meaning what fills the earth, that's mine. Anything that fills the earth belongs to the Lord. He's saying, listen, like your sacrifice, it's not a big deal, man. You think it is, but it's really not, man. It's like in the truth, someone that complains about paying tithes. In your eyes, tithes is a big deal. Let me tell you something. In the truth, so many people that pay tithes, your tithes ain't a big deal anyway. But of course, it does mean you still have to pay tithes. But your £10 a month, believe me, it doesn't shake the economy of the ISUPK, man. And you're moaning, listen, man, I don't know why they want money, You know what I mean? It's like the church, man. These people want money. Yeah, believe me, your £10, it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't do what you think it does, man. But guess what? By law, give them tithes, man.
That's
you know
right.
What I mean? A reader.
Anadon Khan, verse 13. Will I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats?
There's some meaning when you sacrifice, does the Lord eat it? No. Which I don't want to deviate. That's why when it says you offer it on to the Lord, in Deuteronomy 15, it lets you know that the priests work for the Lord, man.
Right.
So now the Lord ain't eating your bull. He's not drinking a drink offering. The priest are, man.
Right.
Meaning you're giving it to the priest. You mean the Lord doesn't eat your cows. The Lord ain't eating legs of lamb, man. You know what I mean? That goes to the priests that work in Seded of the Most High, meaning in the position of the Most High. Read on.
Verse 14. Offer unto God thanksgiving and pay thy vows unto the Most High.
So now, what does it mean by and pay thy vows unto the Most High? What vow have we got?
Vows. That's that's like the covenant. Like our people made a covenant with the Lord.
Give that a hand. That was on point. I mean, remember, it says, those that made a covenant with me by sacrifice. In the book of Exodus, we said, all that is written in the book of the law, we will do. That's that vow, man. We said, whatever is in that Bible, we will do. We didn't say sacrifice. We said, we're going to do it, man. We're going to follow those laws. We're going to keep those commandments. And the Lord's saying, pay that vow, man. Stop offering me sacrifices and instead do what you said you would do, man. Right. Be a man of your word. Be a law-abiding man. Stop offering sacrifices and do it, man. Pay that vow. Reader.
Verse 15. Verse. Ain't
no sweat now. Ain't no sweat. It's verse 15, but that's going into something else which is not for this class. All right, let's get Psalms 51 and verse 16.
Book of Psalms, chapter 51, verse 16. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it.
Oh, listen, man, this is King David right here, man. And in this psalm, in your own time, if you start from verse 1, this is when King David committed the act of adultery. He slept with what was his name? Slept with Beth Sheba, which was Nathaniel's wife. So which was which was Uriah's wife. And of course, you know what I mean, a prophet came to King David, told him, he was a sinner, and you know what I mean, that the Lord was going to punish him. And I believe his baby died for this sin, and King David King David said, "Thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it." Meaning, King David knew that. Listen, like for this sin, I could offer a sacrifice, but you don't want that. Remember, this is King David, man. He's a king, is rich. You could offer 100 rams, 100 sheep, but guess what? King David offered nothing. Why? Because King David knew what it really was about. The Lord wants you to do it, man.
Right.
It's not about what you can offer. It's about what you do. And King David's like, listen, you know what I mean? I could offer a sacrifice, but you don't want that. You want me to not commit adultery, man. You want me to not take another man's wife? And King David understood that. Reader.
For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering.
Uh-huh.
The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart.
So now that's the sacrifice of the Most High. Meaning what? When you sin, you feel bad, man. You're like, right, I did that. You feel so like, Lord, how can I get this pain away, man? What do I need to do to make this right, man? I'm a sinner and I feel horrible in my skin, man. You feel sore and you contrite like, Lord, please, man. You know what I mean? I'm never gonna do that again. Right. That's what matters. Not what animal you can sacrifice. And King David understood it. Read on. Aslakia?
What does contrite heart mean?
All right, contrite. Once again, we're gonna get the definition, so we get the exact definition.
Contrite, feeling or expressing remorse at the recognition that has done something wrong.
There's some meaning. You feel remorse, you feel sad, recognizing you've done something wrong. So you know I've done something wrong, and you feel terrible. That is being contrite. Right. And that's what the Lord wants. The Lord doesn't want a sacrifice. The Lord wants you contrite, like, look, I did that. Following my lust. Look what I did, man. I sinned against you. You know what I mean? I'm wrong for what I did. That's what the Lord wants. The Lord doesn't want bulls and rams and goats. He wants you to be contrite, like, I can't live with myself. I did that. I can't do that again, man. Nah, man. That's what the Lord wants. Read on.
And a contrite heart, oh God, thou will not despise.
I mean, the Lord will never hate a person like that, man. If you sin, if you are this way, the Lord won't despise you, man. Mm. It's not about how much rams and bulls you can give. What the Lord's saying, listen, if you feel this way, that's what I like, man. You mean that's what I want to see? Because if you feel that way, you're not gonna do it again, man.
That's right.
Now, if you just offer a bull, emotionally you don't feel anyway, which means what? You're going to do it again, man.
Right.
Then it's sad for a little while, then you're gonna do it again. You're gonna offer another ram and another ram. While as this stops sin, which is the point. All right, drop that. All right, let's get Ecclesiasticus. A second, let me find it. I ain't gone to this one in a while. Yeah, Ecclesiasticus 35:1. So let's see how you do a sacrifice now, man. And also, what's heavy is this is in the Old Testament too, meaning this is something that we always knew about the Lord. And read it for me. Ecclesiasticus 35:1.
Click on it. He that keepeth the law bringeth offerings enough.
What did the Bible say?
He that keepeth the law bringeth offerings enough.
Listen, man, that is in the Old Testament, man. Right. He that keepeth the law bringeth offerings enough. Meaning the Lord doesn't want your offering. The Lord wants you to keep the law. So if you keep the law, it's like you're bringing an offering anyway. That's what it's all about. And listen, this is Ecclesiasticus, meaning men of the Lord knew, instead of you bringing an offering, how about you just keep the law? Then by you keeping the law, it's like you're bringing an offering.
Right.
Read on.
He that taketh heed to the commandment offereth a peace offering.
And if you take heed to the commandments, that's you offering a peace offering. So in Leviticus, a peace offering was for you to be at peace with the Lord. So imagine in your life, you know the Lord is jacking you up. You gave a peace offering so that the Lord would be at peace with you. While as here it's saying, if you keep the law, that is your peace offering. You wouldn't need to offer nothing if you kept the law. The Lord would be at peace with you if you kept the law. Hence why you wouldn't need a peace offering. Read on.
Counsel. Verse 2. He that required a good turn offereth fine flour, and he that giveth alms sacrificeth praise.
So now, what is Sirach doing here, which is the writer of this book? He's giving an analogy of the law to the sacrifice, saying, if you do that, you've done the sacrifice. So with sacrifices, you offer fine flour, you offer a drink offerings, and he's saying, if you keep the law, you've gave all that anyway. Meaning what? The Lord wants you to follow the law. Then there wouldn't be a need for you to offer a sacrifice. Is the point that he's making. Read on.
Counsel. Verse 3. To depart from wickedness is a thing pleasing to the Lord, and to forsake unrighteousness is a
Propitiation.
Slag.
You know, so I know it's a tongue twister, a propitiation. No, it gets me all the time as well. Almost there. So meaning what? And now, off the back of the Day of Atonement, another word for atonement is a propitiation. You can look it up. It's a synonymous word, meaning to forsake unrighteousness, meaning you become righteous. That is your atonement, man. Instead of a priest having to do the Day of Atonement every year and put all your sins in a ram, if you keep the law, that is your atonement, man. We're saying that if you live righteous, all these things would have been done naturally. There wouldn't have to be a ram to be sacrificed on your behalf for the sins that you did if we live righteous, which is a point that is being made. Read on.
Verse 4. Thou shalt not appear empty before the Lord. Verse 5. For all these things are to be done because of the commandment.
Meaning what? You do these things because it's commandments, man. Don't sacrifice the sin. The whole point of sacrifice was for if you sin, it's your punishment. But what? You're meant to live this way because of the commandments. You're meant to do it. Why? Because that's what God said. It's not just about what you can sacrifice. You do good because of the commandment, man. And imagine that. This is in the Old Testament right here, meaning men of God knew this. They knew that, listen, the Lord doesn't want sacrifice. The Lord wants you to obey, man. The Lord wants obedience instead of your ram offering, your drink offering, your free will offering. The Lord wants you to keep the commandments. And even in Ecclesiasticus 35, they're saying it too, man. Like what King David said, you don't want a sacrifice, else would I give it. And Ecclesiasticus is saying, listen, you keep the law, you've given a sacrifice, man. Read on.
Verse 6. The offering of the righteous maketh the altar fat, and the sweet savor thereof is before the Most High.
Meaning what? When you read about the animals, the fat was on the altar of the Most High, and the savor went up. But it's saying, listen, if you're righteous, listen, man, you're making that altar fat. Meaning what? You're not sacrificing, but what? You're doing the right thing, man. By you living righteous, it's like giving that animal to the Most High, which is the point he's making. Read on.
Counsel. Verse 7. The sacrifice of a just man is acceptable, and the memorial thereof shall never be forgotten.
And then listen, man, if you live righteous, that's what the Lord remembers more than a sacrifice, man. More than any bull you can slay, any goat, any lamb. How you live, that is what the Lord's gonna remember more, which is the point. You know what I mean? Let's drop that. All right, let's get so anyone has any questions before we get into the last verse?
I did have a scripture if I could just get the it's just a quick one. It's on during Romans chapter 6 where it talks about being born again.
I got you.
There's one verse away the understanding of. It was book of Romans chapter 6 and verse 5. But I'll read from 4 to get kind of the context.
I got you. No sweat.
Romans 6 verse 4. Therefore we are buried with him by baptism into death.
Okay, so you understand this part here, or you need to break down on that as well?
I understand this part. So we're buried with him by baptism. So the old man, what we used to do, is dead and buried, but through the baptism, so through the we're baptized now by the Holy Spirit. That we're now in the Spirit, and that old man who was of the flesh is dead.
That's right.
So it says that like as Christ was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the part. So for if we had been planted together in the likeness of his death. So I wasn't sure what it meant when it says if we had been planted together. Is that just another way of saying buried?
Yes, meaning what? A plant goes in the ground. Right. So the point he's making is meaning of course it's a letter written to the Israelites in Rome saying what? All of you died just like Christ. Now, of course, they didn't literally die. But saying, listen, you are planted in the likeness of his death, meaning you didn't die exactly like him. Meaning what? It's the likeness, meaning it's something like it. Right. Now, of course, with Christ, he literally died. We don't literally die. We just change our life. But that man we was before the truth, he's dead. That's the likeness. So we're planting, meaning what? That man of the past, he's in the ground. And he's saying, of course, he's talking to the Israelites in Rome, but we can use it now, meaning what? All of us had to die, man. All of us had to go in the ground, just like Christ. Reader.
For if we have been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection.
Remember, in the likeness of his resurrection. Now, of course, Christ literally rose from the dead. We're not literally rising from the dead. Meaning what? The man of sin, he dies. And the man that walks in the newness of life, he's alive. It's the likeness. Meaning it's not literally that, which is the point. So we shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection, meaning what? With the man of the world, he's planted in the ground, and a new man has resurrected, man. Cool. A new man is alive, walking, doing camp. That's a new man, which is the point of it.
Come on, throughout this. I just wasn't sure if the planted meant anything like different, or if it was just kind of referring to his burial.
I got you. Now the point of being is in the ground. When someone's dead, they're in the ground, which is the point of it.
Come on.
Anything else?
That's it, sir.
More sign Christ. All right. Let's get. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I've got one in Genesis. Genesis 7. I just want to, a bit more on it. Basically, understanding on it. Genesis 7. The Lord God formed man of the dust.
I got you. Okay, so you're saying the breakdown on that one. Of course, you got Adam. I got you. Ain't no sweat, all right then. Which verse? 7
2 and 7, Slakia. 2 and 7.
Oh, Genesis 2 and 7.
Yeah.
All right, let's grab that. All right, Genesis 2 and 7. Okay. So in Genesis 2, just talking about Adam right here. 1 second. Let me get the context of it.
There's a 2.
Oh no. With this one here, this talking about man, meaning what? Man was made of the earth, and in our a body, we have earthly compounds. We have aluminium, zinc. This one here is literal. You mean man?
Okay.
You mean we have earthly compounds in us, aluminium, zinc, all things like that. So no, yeah, this one here is a literal. Man does come from the ground. Even in our a body, there's aluminium, zinc, and there's earthly elements in us.
Okay. So now, okay. So that's the bit I wanted to clarify. The clarification on, and then this bit here where it says breath in the breath of life. Now you're saying that bit also is the same as literal as this. It's not the laws. This bit is not saying that the Lord put the laws in Adam. This is literal as well. That's what you.
Yes. So the breath of life, a living soul. Now your soul is your body. So meaning what? Obviously the Lord made mankind, but this one here is not the same as Adam that you read on later on, which is the point.
Oh, right. Okay, so Salaki, can I get that? Right, so this is literal. The whole thing, the whole verse is literal, basically. So the Lord made mankind, breathed in them the breath of life, and they became a living soul. Is that right?
In this one, yes. But when it comes to Adam, it's a metaphor. Because obviously, if you go to Genesis 1:26, where it basically just sums up, everything being made, it lets you know that mankind was made, you know what I mean? So if you can get that Genesis 1:26, I believe.
I've got it here. Genesis chapter 1:26, and God said, "Let us make man in our image."
Okay, so now, like in the last verse you read, what is the image of God?
Image is his you know, when you make an image for yourself, right?
I got it. All right. For time's sake, is what the Lord represents, what the Lord stands for. Now, of course, with the other nations, they never had the law, but they have the ability to follow the laws. So meaning now they have the image of God, meaning what? They have the ability to follow the laws of God. And in the kingdom, that's what they're going to do. They have the ability to do it. You know what I mean? So mankind does have the image of God, meaning what? They have the ability to follow the laws of God. Of course, we are the people that was given the laws of God, if you understand the difference.
Yeah, we was given it. They have the ability to follow it. I've got that.
That's right, yeah. I got you. All right, so you understand that, or?
So I understand this now, but can we then go to the other part with the actual Adam then? With that physical man.
Verse 1 was mankind, number 2 Adam.
Oh, sorry.
Number 1 was mankind, number 2 Adam get the laws.
No, sorry, my apologies. With Genesis 2, this is Adam. I was going to another verse in the Apocrypha about man's from the earth, and we have earthly compounds in us. But no, with Genesis 2, this one's Adam. Let me get the one in the Apocrypha that I was talking about, just to clear that up.
Okay.
Man from the ground, Ecclesiasticus. All right, we've got two. All right, Ecclesiasticus 33:10.
All right, I'll get it. Ecclesiasticus 33:10, and all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of earth.
There you go. So now this one here, it is a literal, like what I said, in the body there is earthly compounds. So that's the one that is a literal, that mankind is from the ground. You know what I mean? So even in basic ions that you have, there's earthly compounds in mankind. That's the one for that one. Slakia. The one in Genesis 2, that one is Adam, which is
Salakia, the one.
Yeah,
I got you. Can we read that one again? Just go over that one again. And now we understand the Salakia. We understand the Ecclesiasticus one and the Genesis 21. 1 and 26. That was the same as Ecclesiasticus, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going into the man Adam in verse 2 now. So let's.
So is Slacky, if I could. So Genesis 2 and 7, is that kind of twofold? Because obviously it does link with Ecclesiasticus. Was it 30?
33 and 10.
33 and 10, because it does kind of link. But obviously, I've heard the breakdown where I think it was General Hyman broke down where it was where, when man was created, they were all in a low state, like very carnal, just doing what was pleasing to the flesh, where they saw, they like put in their mouths. So he was, he was raised up and he was given the law. He was given, it was like he was given intelligence or a sentence. He was given the law and he was raised up in that way.
I got you. But yeah, okay, but no. In Genesis 2, this one is just specifically talking about Adam right here. Talking about he got the breath of life, meaning he got the laws. You know what I mean? He was given the way of the Lord. But of course, does Adam come from the earth? Absolutely, because he's a part of mankind. But here, this one here is a metaphor, if I'm making sense.
Come on, sir.
Salakia, the one.
Good.
I think what General Muhammad was breaking down is this here. So this is where the Lord is the breath of life, meaning, because that's what I was trying to get at as well. Meaning, he's put the laws in this man Adam here, in Adam.
Yes.
Now Adam is Salakia. So now Adam is risen up, Salakia.
Yes. In Genesis 2, that is that one. So I got them muddled up. I got the Ecclesiasticus one muddled up with it. But no, in Genesis 2, this is Adam. This is him getting the laws. You know what I mean?
Right.
Etc. You understand now, or you?
Canada can, and so now this is the breath of life, which is the laws, right? That's right. The only bit.
That's right. And you preset that with Ezekiel about the valley of dry bones, about the breath of life being the law. Let's get that for you. Ezekiel 37.
3 to 4, 3 to 5.
All right. So for a time sake, Ezekiel's having a vision. He saw a valley of dry bones. The dry bones represent all of the Israelites. It even lets you know that as you read on. But let's find out what the breath of life is. So it's letting you know. So we can jump down.
Ezekiel.
Verse 9.
No. Reading.
Once lay sinews, skin, flesh, you shall live. So prophesied.
Verse 10, other one. It's lucky.
Yes, all right, yeah, that's it. Verse 10.
Ezekiel 37 and 10. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood upon their feet, an exceeding great army.
There you go. And that's, and now that breath is the law, man. What we lived, meaning what? Without the laws, we die, which is in the Bible too, man. Meaning what? We die, man. You know what I mean? And that's what the Bible's saying, that basically, the laws make us live, but that a breath is the law that Adam received in the book of Genesis, the second chapter. All right.
Can't another one can't, right. So that, yeah, I'm so from the dust of the ground, and then he gave that breath, right? So that wasn't the literal breath, that was a spiritual life or breath then, right?
Yes, because so basically with Adam, he was already alive, but he received breath, meaning the laws of God. So he was alive already, but then he got the breath, meaning what? He got the laws of God. He got the way. It got what was pleasing to the Lord, basically.
Right.
Can't another one can't. Yeah. Most High in Christ.
Ain't no sweat. All right, then. That's the class. I'm gonna hand it over to priest and officer of. Oh, sorry. We got the holiday this Sunday, the Feast of Tabernacles, the opening as well, right? This Sunday, sundown, as well, right? All right, then. With that being said, I'm handing it over to priest and officer of 5,000.
Barak,
Yahweh
Yahweh Shemi Hamushai Barakathon.
Yajamata, Sa, sisters, 1K to salute. Men of Israel, Imam Shabbat, Imam Barak, Yahweh Shema, Yajamata, class dismissed.
Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shabbat.
Shalom.
Shalom.